last week we spoke a little bit about TOS, and it's something that I'm personally very high conviction on. I'm kind of a big fan of what the company has been able to achieve thus far, and think that kind of the pipeline for the company is really positive. So, happy to kind of chat more about TOS here. For those of you guys who might have missed it last week or have had a little more time to digest the content. So TOS is the largest private fintech firm in South Korea. The company provides kind of a multitude of financial services via a single mobile app, which creates a lot of kind of cross-selling advantages and generates high volumes of consumer data, which is integrated into the company's product, and we'll get into that a little bit later. The company was founded in 2011, is headquartered in Seoul, and has raised over 800 million in venture funding from a really significant roster of VCs. Investors like Sequoia Capital, Kleiner Perkins, and Ribbit Capital, which is a fintech specialist, have all put money into the company in the past. And I think you're really going to be hard pressed to find a more impressive roster of investors that I think see kind of the same thing that I'm seeing here with TOS, which is that this is a really great company with an incredible market opportunity that has achieved product market fit in a really high growth industry over a short period of time. So the company was founded by S.G. Lee, who was previously a dentist in South Korea. So made kind of a dramatic career decision after seeing a lot of the peer-to-peer payment apps like Venmo and PayPal in the US. SG was particularly dismayed that Korea had not kind of come up with their own version of this. So he went about kind of building that product with a team of veterans from Korea's tech industry. So Hyung-Suk Lee and Ju-Young Jang both came over as prior product managers and directors of engineering to build this peer-to-peer technology platform. And since kind of launching that element of the product, the company has gone on to launch brokerage products and banking products, which are kind of spearheaded by Yoon-Moon Soo, who was previously a principal at the Hanwha Corporation, which is a large kind of, I would say, asset manager in Korea. And on the board are Eric Kim, who is an early investor via Goodwater Capital, and is also on the board at Coupang, and Hun Kim, who is an early investor via Altos Ventures. So like I mentioned, Altos and Goodwater being early investors in TOS, with a number of high-profile VCs entering in kind of the post-Series C stage of the company. Those being, like I mentioned, Sequoia China, Kleiner Perkins, Ribbit Capital, and Sequoia kind of doubling down on their investment. Bessemer Ventures also being involved. So a lot of really impressive companies that have a great track record in fintech have piled into TOS, and it would not be surprising to see them raising mega rounds from investors like SoftBank or Tiger in the near future. Part of what makes TOS such an attractive opportunity is the kind of digital native element of Korea as a country. South Korea has a fintech adoption rate of 67%. And when you compare that to other developed countries, the US and Japan both have adoption rates that are much lower, 46% and 34% respectively. So obviously kind of a nation of consumers that are eager to kind of use fintech products and are comfortable with that interface. So when we think about like kind of why this is, Samsung's importance in the country as kind of a a major employer and kind of major producer of digital products is probably a good reason why. About 96% of South Korean consumers have a smartphone or 4G products. 94% of all payments are conducted electronically, and this is the world's second largest credit card market and the second fastest growing e-commerce market. So obviously, really nice kind of secular drivers that are contributing to the company or to the environment that's so right for the company to succeed. So according to TOS, basically the Korean fintech market can be thought of along two lines. There are consumer products like banking, investing, and marketplaces, and merchant products like payment enablement, payment processing, and small business banking that presents a TAM of about $150 billion at the moment. So the company obviously has a huge kind of market that it can address, and there's a lot of room for growth here. So in terms of product, basically TOS is similar to a number of the other super apps across Asia, in that the company provides a number of integrated services like peer-to-peer payments, mobile banking, investing, bill pay, etc., from its single app. So everything is interconnected through the single app. And as of this June, TOS has claimed over 20 million users, which translates to about 40% of South Korea's total population. And what that user base really is a lot of young people. So 80% of Koreans in their 20s, 66% of Koreans in their 30s, and almost 50% of Koreans in their 50s, or sorry, 40s, typo there. So, a user base of kind of young people that provides a lot of opportunities for moving into high margin products in the banking space in the near future. TOS Bank is, a recently launched product. The company received a license in December of this year, approval, and then received its license in June of this year, and then launched shortly after. And essentially what the company is trying to do is target, the middle market for loans in the country, because of kind of inherent discrimination among the kind of Korean legacy banks in terms of, subprime mortgages and subprime loans that are being given out. So with kind of the wide consumer base, the company is able to access financial data for more consumers than any of the legacy banks across Korea, and are able to price loans more efficiently. Their kind of back testing of their loan products meant that they were able to achieve 30% lower delinquency rates than kind of the traditional Korean legacy banks. So using technology to power their loan engine and kind of generate lower rates than what customers would be able to get from the legacy banks. In terms of the investment product, the company launched that in February this year and quickly achieved over 2 million accounts. And kind of for contrast here, it took 7 years for the largest retail brokerage in Korea to reach 2 million accounts, and 2 years for Robinhood to reach the same number. But for TOS, it took less than 2 months. So really impressive user growth in that product, being driven by obviously the large user base that already existed for the app. And what the product provides is a really simplified investing experience that is kind of mobile native and has an intuitive user face. So, prior iterations of investment apps in Korea have been kind of criticized as being very clunky and not user friendly, whereas the TOS Invest product, you can basically sign up in less than 3 minutes. and start investing in less than 3 clicks. So really intuitive, clean user face here, and providing differentiated products along the kind of traditional investment product lines in Korea. So allowing fractional share trading in US shares and ETFs starting last week. In terms of the mobile app, we've kind of briefly touched on this, but everything being kind of interconnected through the single app means that the Toss mobile app is really one of the most popular apps in Korea in the finance category. The app is currently #2 in the Google Play Store finance category in South Korea and #3 in Vietnam. It is the fastest growing financial app in Korea in terms of monthly active users. And the kind of launch of new products only brings additional customers to the app. So while the customer base has been incredibly solid, the growth here is not slowing down in terms of the number of downloads. Moving over to the merchant side really quickly. Toss acquired LGU Plus, which is the second largest payment processor in South Korea, and rebranded the product as Toss Payments. What LGU Plus was really known for was online merchants, which is obviously a pretty significant part of kind of the commerce landscape in Korea, where e-commerce is pretty dominant. And now Toss is kind of spending time on signing up more offline merchants to Toss Payments. So payment processing is really a significant industry with kind of a number of different players, but as Toss is able to acquire more and more consumers in that on that side of the business and integrate its wallet product, the company is going to be vertically integrated with both payments processing and wallets from the consumer and merchant side, which means that the company is able to own more and more of the transactions that take place. Moving on to the company's international expansion strategy, Toss was launched in 2020 in Vietnam and claims more than 3 million monthly active users now, adding really significant numbers every month. The mobile app is currently ranked #3 in Vietnam's Google Play Store for finance. And what the Vietnam experience has taught the company is that they are probably going to be able to launch in a number of different countries in the near future. So the company is looking to launch in Malaysia by the end of this year and is looking to the Philippines and Japan at some point in 2022 as well. So a lot of growth coming here with customer acquisition costs really not elevated, and in fact the average kind of revenue per user has outweighed customer acquisition costs already in Vietnam, which is pretty significant in the midst of a growth push in an international market. Quickly, a competitive analysis. You have kind of these legacy internet companies in Korea like Kakao and Naver, as well as Coupang. All three of them have their own payment processing and payment or wallet products. But Kakao has also kind of spun off its payment and banking products as separate public companies, in which it has retained kind of a majority stake. So while kind of each of these competitors are well funded, the difference is Toss is really the only company that offers a I would say like a finance native app that is kind of focused on user experience across financial products. And the second being a demographic advantage where Toss has achieved such significant traction among younger customers that are likely to kind of move into the higher margin products in the near term. And kind of looking at that comparison, Toss is the smallest value of the various competitors, with kind of a 2020 sales of about enterprise value to sales at about 27 times, which is significantly less than both KakaoBank and KakaoPay, with higher users and much faster growth year over year. And so kind of, looking at these peers, it appears pretty likely that Toss is a nice bargain compared to its peers in this group. So moving on to some high-level metrics, the company achieved $330 million in sales in 2020, and that's on a currency-adjusted basis. Is projecting in the ballpark of $850 million this year, and is narrowing its operating loss to only $60 million this year, which was a 37% improvement on the prior year. This is on a really significant user base. Almost 40% of the country is on Toss, with 55% of those users being monthly active, and 83% of sales being driven by B2B sales right now. Year over year, sales growth of 230%. The 3-year revenue CAGR here is 167%. So, this is a company that's been doing triple-digit growth in the past and doesn't look to slow down given the launch of new products and new geographies. So, again, a deal that I'm really high conviction on, and happy to take any questions that you guys have about Toss.
Hey, Jake, Emerson here.
Yes.
Hey, what licenses do they have to operate their business? Right. Or are they relying on partners?
So is this in reference to international or the domestic product?
Yeah, even domestically, because I would imagine they would need like a payments license, capital markets, banking license. There's just so many.
Yeah, so the company has both the banking and the brokerage license to operate in Korea. So everything is kind of owned in-house in terms of the domestic products. In terms of the international stuff right now, they're partnering with a local Vietnamese bank, and it looks like that is probably going to be the strategy for future expansion, at least until kind of the company has a strong footing to the point where it makes sense to kind of, go out to local regulators and get their own products, their own license.
Okay, thanks. Then the other question would be the growth potential, right, of this investment. So their enterprise value of 9 billion, and I remember seeing KakaoBank was at 24.
Yeah.
Sorry, what is this? Promote me to be a panelist. Am I supposed to say?
Oh no, it's just a way for you to actually, you can actually show your screen if you like.
You don't have to though. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, it made me rejoin. Okay. Anyway, yeah, my question was from a 9B enterprise value to say Kakao, which is KakaoBank at 25.
Yeah.
So that's like 2.5x, right? Is that kind of what you guys are looking at from an investment perspective? Is that a return? So
no, I would say that KakaoBank being spun off from Kakao is kind of only a banking product, right? So they're separate from the payment product. Here, I think the potential for growth is beyond 25 billion, like substantially. I would say the returns profile that we're expecting right now, given kind of the data that we've seen, is probably around 4x, 4x returns, kind of being the base case that we're operating on.
Okay. So this is more of a later stage deal. Are there plans for exit soon? Do they plan an IPO in the near future?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Given kind of the rhetoric out of the company, the language that's being used is kind of within the next 2 years, and I think that's kind of pretty consistent with what we've seen across a number of tech CEOs saying, "Oh, we're 2 years away. We're 2 years away," up until the point that you're actually 8 months away, and they've kind of achieved all of the different markers. So I think 18 to 24 months is pretty realistic. Kind of the structure being a potential US listing, but more likely being a dual listing.
Okay, got it. Yeah. All right. So if I'm keen to dig in a bit more, what do I do after this call?
Yeah, I think
To reach out to us. I think Jake, I, and Dylan, Sophie here can help out. You can just email us at business@marketx.com, and we'll send you the PPN, etc.
What was it again? business@marketx.com.
Yeah, I'll type
Okay.
it here as well so everyone can see the email.
Yeah, and Emerson, just to kind of clarify, we do have additional information, and we'd be willing to share that with investors that have kind of expressed serious interest. So there is kind of more layers to this if that is something you're interested in.
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Jake. I'll get in touch after this.
No problem. Any other questions about TOS, guys?
Jake, what's the timeline on this?
In terms of closing?
Yeah,
we only have a few days here for 1inch because this one is closing very soon. We've asked for allocation from the actual seller already, so we only have probably by next Wednesday. Do you think you can work with that timeline?
for TOS.
Yeah, TOS.
Oh, okay, TOS would be by next Wednesday.
Yeah, because we already raised 35 million for this one, so they're closing very soon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
You raised 35 million for them. Was that in this funding round or a separate one?
No, this is a secondary fund. So basically we're buying out existing shareholders, and because it's come 9 billion, so actually all the secondary blocks are pretty large as well. So in this case, we're working with an existing shareholder who already sold, they're doing a large $50 million sell. So in this case, we're looking at just maybe 10, 20 million more, but they've already got 35 million in the vehicle already.
Got it.
Yeah.
I was understanding. I heard that you had raised money. You had done them before, and this was another deal that you were doing with them.
No,
Sorry.
so it's same block. Yeah, of course. Basically, what we're doing is that we're going to SPV that already hold the shares. So this is a secondary block. It's not a new primary round.
Yeah. What did they do their last primary round at? Do you know?
7.4.
7.4.
Yeah, so it's a small step up, but that definitely reflects kind of the latest developments in terms of traction in the brokerage product and the banking product and the success of the Vietnam launch.
Understood. When was that last round done? The primary?
June of this year.
Okay, that's legit. Thanks.
No problem.
Any other? So nicely for you, right?
Any other questions, guys? If there are not any more questions about TOS, I'm running out of time a little bit here, but just want to tease something that we're going to be covering next week. Orbital Insight is a company that Catherine, has kind of had relationships with their management team and kind of knows the company pretty well. We were able to secure allocation, and this is a company that's a market leader in geospatial analysis. So for those of you guys who watch Billions, and maybe Bobby Axelrod is looking at density of consumers in Chinese malls or kind of something like that, This is a company that basically looks at different indicators of geospatial data like supply chains or commodities, satellite images, mobile location, connected cars, other IoT data to provide insights for companies about kind of how the global economy is working and analyze that data with AI algorithms. So this is a company that's already raised over $120 million with prior investors like Sequoia, Lux Capital, GV, and Goldman, piling into that deal. And in the last round, the company was valued at $400 million. So lots of room for growth here, and kind of a really interesting company that I'm excited to dig into and talk about next week.
Jake, are you able to share the price on that?
Catherine, do you have color on that?
Yeah, so we're still in discussion with the company. This is a kind of a preemptive. We wanted to let our investors know we're doing a deal here. But as we gather more information, we'll share with the clients. But they've already raised many rounds of funding, as you guys can see. And I can tell you that we're probably doing this at a discount to the current round they're raising. But there's also rumor that they might be ready for IPO in the next 18 to 24 months.
Great. Awesome. Keep me posted on that.
Definitely.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks so much for joining. As always, please reach out if you have kind of any questions that you're not necessarily inclined to share with the group. Happy to take those offline. Feel free to get me by email or by LinkedIn. Either way is fine. So have a good day.
All right. Thanks everyone for your time. Look forward to seeing you next week.